What a race that was. Yes, F1 2020, it's finally back, and even better than that, it delivered. I cannot believe the race that we have just witnessed on F1. You know, F1 2020 is finally back, and it is back with a bang, it is safe to say. Quickly though, before we jump into today's F1 fantasy, a quick announcement from myself. If you aren't already subscribed, make sure you do so. Be here at 9 AM tomorrow morning. I'm sure you're aware a lot of other content creators have announced it as well. But finally, we will have the first episode of my F1 2020 career mode as well coming to the channel. Like I said, 9 AM tomorrow morning, UK time, so British summer time. So at the time of this video going out, it's about 13 hours away if I remember to get this video uploaded at the right time. Click the notification bell as well. We're going to have sort of 4 or 5 videos going live tomorrow from F1 2020, as well as, obviously, if you missed out on my NASCAR Heat 5 first episode of that Let's Play today, you can go back and watch that video as well. I would definitely recommend doing so. We're going to have more content from that coming to the channel in the near future. It is a very, very exciting to be on the Matt212 channel. But hello, everyone, and welcome back, guys, to finally the first F1 2020 Grand Prix Fantasy review. We've got our 3 teams here, and safe to say, some mixed results. In the end, I'm looking at you, my experimental team, with an impressive minus 35 points after the opening race weekend of the season. But yeah, what a race it was at the end of the day. Only 11 cars making it to the finish. Obviously, there are so many talking points from the opening race of the season. Obviously, there are spoilers probably already on your screens. You can work out who did quite well and who didn't do so well from this video. But yeah, very interesting race, obviously, to kick us off. And that might change something on our serious team. But obviously, we'll discuss that later on in this video. But yeah, a bit of a quick recap then. As you can see, my serious team did do the best. That was obviously the most important thing. I was very worried our meme team or our experimental team would actually do better than our serious tryhard team for the new season. But we got 102 points with our serious team. Hamilton, yeah, I think there's a bit of controversy around Hamilton's result at the end of the day. To be honest, I'm quite surprised he managed to pick up 27 points from this weekend, but 27 points is 27 points at the end of the day, so we will take that quite happily in the end. There's Sergio Perez, a fantastic, or nearly a fantastic day for him. I was looking at him with 20 laps to go, you know, sat there in prime position. He could have potentially had a podium at the end of the race today, but still 44 points on the board is hardly something to be too disappointed about. Poor old Max Verstappen, though, on the other hand, no idea what happened to his Honda power unit. It seemed to have a complete fault that even Red Bull didn't know how to even attempt to fix there. And yeah, a bit gutted for him, in all honesty, at the end of the day. And he didn't even score any points for us as well. That's why I'm more annoyed with Max Verstappen when all is said and done. Carlos Sainz having a fairly, actually, quiet weekend on the whole. You know, after 2020, 2019 even, sorry, I should say, where he smashed the midfield. You know, I was ready for him picking up all those points for the team. But yeah, this weekend he was pretty quiet. He had a decent result. He scored some points on the board for McLaren. But 23 points is actually surprisingly good for how sort of quiet he was this weekend. I think the biggest talking point from Sainz was Sebastian Vettel going for the almighty send on him at the end of the day. And then once again, poor old George Russell in the Williams car. I was honestly dreading the fact that it looked like for a brief moment that Latifi could score points for Williams, and we were going to see 2019 2.0 where George Russell slaps his teammates silly and still finishes behind him in the World Championship. I'm counting down the days before we see some George Russell points, I'll be honest with you all, as well. And then Racing Point as well had, obviously, with Sergio Perez having quite a good race out in the end. Unfortunate for Stroll, obviously him having to retire quite early on in the Grand Prix as well, with even more engine issues. You know, it was pretty much any issue you can think of in Formula 1 happened to someone in the first race of 2020 there. But yeah, 102 points for our serious team. To be honest, I think we're quite lucky that we got that many on the board. I honestly thought Russell was going to lose us more, Verstappen was going to lose us more. I don't think Sainz, to be honest, probably deserved 23 points, as well as Hamilton getting 27. You know, Perez is our turbo, very much did carry us at the end of the day there. So fantastic job by him, as well as obviously Racing Point, picking up a good 60% of our points from the first weekend of the season. Then having a look over to our meme team, Leclerc, the only real sort of standout performance there. Seb just seemed to be 2019 Seb 2.0. More mistakes, more rough racing, and yeah, another, are we going to see him in 2021? I'll be honest, I'm not optimistic at the moment. Alex Albon, I'll be honest, that penalty, I think, was justified, but I don't think you can really throw too much blame on Hamilton's end. We got a bit unlucky with the understeer on the car, everything like that, which unfortunately cost him, obviously cost him, and then obviously cost Alexander Albon even more at the end of the day. Obviously, he had that retirement quite late on in the Grand Prix, that I think, obviously, everyone sort of forgot about quite quickly because he was already down towards the rear of the field there. So the fact that he was still able to score 3 points is probably quite good in the end. Kimi Räikkönen, a bit of a roller coaster for him. Normally, you'd expect after doing a full reconnaissance lap or a full safety car lap, your tyre, if it was going to stay on, it would stay on. But clearly not for Räikkönen. As they got ready for the restart, his tyre decided it was going to head towards Germany. And yeah, very, very unfortunate result for Kimi there in the end of retirement for him. As well as then Danny Kvyat as well. He also didn't make it through to the end of the Grand Prix. So our team here, to recap, had lucky podium, but a well-deserved podium. I'm not going to deny that. Torpedo crashing into other people. DNF after crashing with someone else. Tyres don't go on the car. Actual Torpedo had a very, very weird issue in the end. And then AlphaTauri somehow picking up 24 points for us. So yeah, pretty much Leclerc and the team AlphaTauri, sorry, I should say, clutching us up with my meme team there at the end of the day. And then there, the experimental team. It's bad when Williams and Latifi, I should say, score all of your points. If you have a look through, wheel flew off, brakes don't work, engine doesn't work. Minus 35 points is probably a new record in the F1 Fantasy League as well there. But having a look then over at our league, let's quickly see where we stand. P10 out of 184 of you, and that is another thing that I quickly wanted to say. A big, big thank you to everyone that has joined the league. The support on it has been absolutely insane. I cannot thank you guys enough for all getting involved and everything like that. I think it's having a bit of an issue because it only reckons 13 of us have scored. Well, after waiting about an hour and a half for the F1 Fantasy website to just about get to a stage where it seems like it is working, we can see that out of the 185 teams we've got now in our league, as you can quite clearly see at the bottom there, first of all, a huge, huge thank you to everyone that has joined the league. If you haven't already, there will be links down in the description below to get yourself involved, obviously, if you want to try and get featured in future videos. But yeah, out of 185 teams, our meme experimental team is 184th. I was quite surprised, in all honesty, that someone managed to do worse than us, but Jeremy's Joker team had Magnussen, Grosjean, Russell and Latifi like myself, went with Haas, who managed to score him 3 whole points, and had Lance Stroll as his turbo driver, so quite clearly managed to do, a better job at me at getting a terrible score, which is very, very impressive at the end of the day there. Our second team ranks 148th overall, as you can see that on 70 points, and then our serious team is 119th. In the bottom half, in our own league, as you can quite clearly see there, on 102 points. We even tied with one of my good friends, Jack Carr Riley there. So you can see his team, Hamilton, Perez, Sainz, Verstappen, Russell, and Racing Point. Obviously, I think, is that exactly the same as ours? Did he go with exactly the same as ours? Hamilton, Perez, Verstappen, Sainz, Russell. I think they're in a slightly different order. Hamilton, Perez, Russell, Sainz, Verstappen. Yeah, we've gone with identical teams for this league, so I'll be very, very impressed if we somehow finish with a different score at the end of the day. But having a look then, the top finisher from the first week of the series then is J. Stew. I've probably butchered your name horrendously there. However, he did use his Mega Driver, which obviously scores 3 times points there with Lewis Hamilton. He also had Verstappen, Norris, who I think was probably the turbo driver to have today, Gasly, Perez, and Racing Point for his lineup there. So, I mean, we had four of the same, even, I should say, of the top person there. And unfortunately, Norris and Gasly did bits for him. And unfortunately, yeah, it certainly wasn't the same for ourselves. Gabriel, team 2, I actually spotted his first team as well, a little bit further down the order. He managed to do better with his second team than his first. There's his original team, down in P30. He came runner-up with that team of Hamilton, was his Mega Driver, Albon, Norris, Gasly, Magnussen and McLaren. Again, a very, very good team there on 215. Then we had a Juggler with 214 points. Slumlord Racing Ltd, certainly an interesting name there. In fourth, I had a Dive Bomb GP, the Boys V1, Liam Team 1. He got two teams in the top 10. How good is this guy at F1 Fantasy there? Ocon, Sainz, Perez, Leclerc, Russell, and Mercedes, in the end. He got 2 teams inside the top 10, and we can't even get a single one inside the top 100. That's just how badly we have done this week. And then we've got average driver and team. I think this is the same guy on a different account, but I'm not too sure. Bottas, Perez, Gasly, Norris, Sainz, and Red Bull. A team that every single person scored points there. That is quite impressive. And then just inside the top 10 is George Cullingworth, who I've actually raced with a few times on F1 as well. Though with Hamilton, Perez, Stroll, Giovinazzi, Norris, and Mercedes quite clearly putting a lot of weight into the Racing Point dream for this season there. Further down the order, any other names sort of obviously that I'm aware of? Let's have a look, see if we can find a few other people. Obviously, Brandon Dorr, I've raced with him a bit in the past in 27th. Who's he got on his roster then? Magnussen, Perez, Norris, Hamilton, Russell, and Mercedes. Any other people sort of within the top 50? There is, like I said, Gabriel's our second team. Further down the order, anyone else not inside the top 50 that I recognise all too in particular there? Obviously, a big thank you though once again to everyone that has joined the league. So having a look further down, we got one of my good mates, Kyle, obviously, who I do some league racing with, and obviously a lot of other things. He is 75th. Leclerc, Norris, Ricciardo, Magnussen, Perez, and Mercedes again. So a good job by him. Having a look then at the top league in the world. Let's have a look what the very best score was from this week. 340 points someone managed to get. Congratulations to Sam. Norris as his Mega Driver, 132 points. Bottas is his Mega Driver, 132. Norris is his Turbo, so he's already scored 204 points from those two alone. Then we've got Gasly on 24, Perez on 22, Leclerc on 41, and McLaren, another 49 there. 340 points is a fantastic job done by him at the end of the day, so GG's to him as well. But as we get ready then for next week, obviously we're going to leave our meme team and our experimental team as they are. We can change our proper team though. Let's have a look, see if we can move around, obviously change a couple of people from this. Having a look at it, Hamilton I'm going to stick with. To be honest, I think next weekend he's probably going to decide actually they're going to have no messing, and it needs obviously to beat Bottas as well. Perez had a good race out, I'll be honest. I feel like Racing Point, they were struggling a bit with reliability, so I might get rid of him. Verstappen, I'm actually... Do I scrap? How much is Bottas? Out of interest. How much is... Bottas is 28.4, so we need another 500,000 to be able to afford him. So let's head back to our serious team. So Verstappen there, let's quickly just put as a placeholder then, Lando Norris, who I think did a fantastic job. So, let's have a look then. If we get rid of... So, can we get anyone else in? So, Latifi's only 100k less than Russell, so I don't really think it's worth swapping him out. Sainz, though, I'm going to scrap him as well, so we can afford to put Bottas in. To be honest, Mercedes just seemed that unstoppable at the top, obviously, unless Hamilton had that, obviously, a bit of a scuff with, obviously, Alex Albon at the end of the Grand Prix there. I think having Hamilton and Bottas in the team is probably a good way to go. Who are we going to put, though, in as our last guy? I think we're actually going to go with Lando Norris there. We're also going to use our turbo driver. We're going to play Lando Norris as our turbo for next week. I'm hoping he gets a similar sort of result as today. But yeah, I just don't have all that faith in Racing Point at the moment. I might actually be able to get Mclaren in if possible. Let's have a look. How much is McLaren? 14.9 million. We just can't afford McLaren, so we will actually stick with a Racing Point for that then. But yeah, we're going to go Lando Norris as our turbo. I'm going to... What is that? Wildcard make unlimited substitutions. That's okay. We're going to go for our Mega Driver. Any driver except Turbo Driver can be a Mega Driver. No cost restriction. Is the new booster that multiplies the points scored by the selected driver by 3 times. So we're going to go with Hamilton as our Mega Driver for next weekend. A bit of a gamble. I'm sort of just hoping that obviously he can come in clutch and obviously win the Grand Prix next weekend. Bottas in second place, then Norris getting another podium ahead of Perez and Russell there, with preferably Lance Stroll doing quite well for the team as well there. So you can see a total value 100 million. We've got 3.5 million to spare. I might actually see, can we get another driver that's, well, has a bit of a better chance of scoring points over George Russell? I might actually stick Stroll in because his pace this weekend was pretty damn good. So yeah, we're going to go with that. We're going to go with Stroll. We're going to lose 20 points at the end of the day, but we've got all 4 Mercedes drivers, as I'm calling it. Lando Norris as our turbo and a Racing Point ready to go then. Lewis Hamilton's our Mega Driver. We'll be looking out for him next weekend as well. But we're going to save that, lose a few points on the board, but hopefully next weekend it can come into clutch. Thank you all so much for watching this video as well. Let me know down in the comments below how well you guys did this weekend as well. Obviously, if you enjoyed, make sure you get yourself subscribed. We'll be back once again after next weekend's Styrian Grand Prix, if I'm not mistaken. That is what it's called. But yeah, we will be back next week out, hopefully with some better luck. Hamilton, you better win it, or I'm going to be really, really disappointed. I'll see you all in the next one.